I don't really like to use the word neurodivergent because it then presupposes that they're neurotypical and that we diverge from the norm. It's a bit like
It's quite a new label that kind of encompasses a lot of things.
Yeah, it does. It does, and
quite,
so it's useful.
Quite an umbrella term, really,
and it's useful in that respect.
Absolutely, yeah.
But there's a lovely woman called Maxine Sheets Johnson, and she talks about the corporeal turn in psychotherapy, in our awareness of what it is to be a human being, so sort of like in terms of the return to the body. And she prefers to talk about the early development of a child as the kinesthetic period rather than the pre-verbal period. Because sense. The pre-verbal prioritizes the verbal. So we say, oh, this is pre-verbal. And then when words come along, when language comes along, that's when everything starts to make sense. But to me, as a child, everything made sense to me before I knew what words were,
It's kind of like you developed your own language in a way, isn't it?
Well, we do. We all do. And Daniel Stern, who wrote about the intersubjective relationship between the child and the mother, remembers age 7 watching this adult and a child of about 3 or 4. And he was aware at age 7 that he could speak both languages. So he could speak the kinesthetic language of the child, but he also was able to understand and communicate with the adult in the adult language and the sort of expectations of the adult. And he says that he was able to maintain that that sort of being able to communicate kinesthetically, very much from the body, semantically, but also sort of cognitively for the adult. And I think that that's more what I aim to do with students, is that some students, like yourself, they get that kinesthetics. Give me the plasticine. Oh, where have you been all my life? This piece of plasticine. And then there are other students who approach it much more from a sort of cognitive point of view. And sometimes they struggle. I think that's kind of student who goes away with their head exploding at the end of the day, because they're coming at it very much from a kind of positivist, very much from a modernist perspective, which is what our education in this country...
More of an academic sense.
Our education in this country is not really about stimulating the learning of children, developing understanding. It's the sort of dissemination of information and facts. And the expectation is that the child will remember that, and at the appropriate time will be able, in their SATs, will be able to sort of answer the questions, and then later, as exams go on, and then of course, it's just expected that you'll go to university, and then you'll get a job, and then you'll
get a job that's completely unrelated to your degree, and then
then you get depressed, and then you come and see me, as a counsellor and therapist. So, I have an investment in that modernist way of thinking, but I would much rather education was much more along the Reggio Emilia approach, which is an Italian approach, which is learning through play. And I just keep talking about books that I've read, but I can't help it. There's a wonderful book called The Hidden Spring by Mark Solms, and he talks about that emergent way of learning and how important play was. That actually a lot of the social interaction, a lot of how we relate to each other socially, was organized through play. If you think about it. And now something that's become very popular is the polyvagal theory.
Yes.
Developed by Stephen Porges, but really popularized by Deb Dana. And in that, there's the ventral vagal. That's the pro-social, the kind of where we relate to each other, where we smile, where we sing, where we sit round a table, where we share a meal, where we play, really. So play has been really important. Fortunately, my mother was very playful, and I think that I was given that opportunity. Lots of Lego, lots of plasticine,
likewise, yeah.
lots of something called Meccano. I
Oh,
don't know if they
I
still
remember
have
Meccano.
Meccano, but I just love Meccano.